Daryl, how was your blood today?
The blood pressure is good this morning.
It was not after the game on Brownie Bites. The thousands of thousands of people that listened and watched on the YouTube channel to see you explode immediately after the game on Dylan Gabriel and his prowess as the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns.
I've had to watch 41 of these guys. Okay? Yeah, the cuppeth runneth over, and I'm out of patience. Find a quarterback, okay? Andrew Berry ain't the guy to find the quarterback either, but go find a quarterback. Please, for everything that is holy with the sport of football, find us a quarterback. I can't do the quarterback carousel anymore. I can't do.
We have two more that we can go through this year.
I know. I can't.
Maybe even three.
I can't do quarterback jersey jokes anymore. All right. I got chastised on the afternoon show because I made hey, guess what? Next week, everyone will be in a good mood. Browns won't lose. It's the bye week. Well, we've been making those jokes for 30 years as well.
People thought this was going to be the bye week as well as for your head coach.
Well, no.
There were people. I mean, look, I think people in the media all assumed that Kevin Stefanski wasn't going anywhere.
Once Jimmy said what he said last week at the owners' meetings
Yeah, but sometimes that's a kiss of death. That was the one thing I was like, oh, why? How come he did that?
Because phrasing matters in the endorsement.
Okay.
How the endorsement is delivered matters. And the fact that Jimmy went through the inglorious resume of everything that's gone wrong, that wasn't Kevin's fault, told me there will be no move made during the season.
I don't want to dance around. I want to go right into what happened yesterday and what's not happening this week. And I said this after they traded Flacco. Where is Andrew Berry? Why is he not talking? Why are we not hearing from him? I'd like to hear from Paul DePodesta, too. I'd like to know if the strategy was to bring in 4 quarterbacks in the beginning of the season and then dump the 2 veterans and then watch 2 young guys play, okay, stick up and can we hear? Why do they continue to throw Kevin Stefanski out there and have to answer questions for the front office? And you asked this yesterday, kind of. Like you asked in a very polite way, I thought. Where is Andrew Berry? Where is he? And why is he not talking?
Well, according to Kevin Stefanski, Andrew is busy doing his job. Whatever that might be right now, which the trade deadline is coming up.
Okay.
And
he made 2 deals and didn't say peep about them.
Correct, including trading the Week 1 starter to a division rival, and now said Week 1 starter who struggled mightily here is looking like he's got plenty of gas left in the tank for the Bengals. I know the Bengals just lost to the Jets,
right?
But that wasn't because Joe Flacco laid an egg. That was because, their defense was basically a wet paper bag as far as resistance goes. All right. Flacco looks legit again down in Cincinnati, and there are questions that should be asked. Why does your offense look so inept, and especially with Flacco having been here, and now he goes to Cincinnati, and he looks like he belongs again in the National Football League? That is. I mean,
I can answer that with 2 words: wide receiver. They have him. We don't.
Yeah. Well, I had to do that. That was 7 words, Andy.
Oh, did I say 7 words? Yeah. I say 2.
You said 2.
2. Okay.
Owen's checking my math right now.
I don't do math. We don't have math.
7?
7?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. All right. 7.
I don't do math. We don't do math on the midday show. Sorry, bro.
This is a big math show. So
I know.
Got to get used to it.
There'll
be a quiz at the end of it.
Oh, man.
Owen's the fact checker. If you get your math wrong, he's got you.
That's all right. Travis Kelce took care of all of us Cleveland Heights grads last night. We're good. But get back into this. So, where is Andrew Berry? Look, Daryl, you cover all these teams, right? We all have for years.
This is the first time.
There is no way. Hang on, just real quick. There is no way the Guardians/Indians have ever walked away from a trade without making a statement. I don't care if it's 2 single-A players that got traded. They will step out and talk about anything. If somebody like on a single-A deal,
someone from the front office is usually available every homestand.
Yeah, it's insane. I don't know, and maybe it's the NFL. Do general managers generally?
Yes, they do.
They talk. I'm not nuts.
No, you're not crazy.
And especially at the bye week when you're trying to assess what's going on.
This is the first bye week that I can remember in which the general manager will not be available. This is also the first bye week that I can remember where, and I'm not going to complain about this. Actually, you know what? I would like to thank the Cleveland Browns this morning.
They gave you a day off?
I would like to thank them for the additional time off during the bye week, because usually I would have to work today, and I would have to work tomorrow. Players are, mandatory off Thursday through Monday. That's CBA. So you know what? I'm going to take a different tact here.
You're kind of working right now.
I am going to thank the Cleveland Browns for the extra time off this week, because I work really hard. Thank you for the extra time off and not sending Andrew Berry out to not actually answer questions. I think Kevin Stefanski does a pretty good job of that on his own.
Well, I want to just, for people that call in, we had people call in yesterday after you appeared on your normal Monday at 8:20, brought to you by Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store, which that gets us for later on in the day when you were supposed to do that hit. But people calling in and going, why don't they ever ask this or that? And I said then, well, it's a dance, guys. You can't just show up to the first date and be like, so are we getting down tonight? That's not how things go, right?
I don't know. Not in today's world.
There's a dance to it, but I want to give you credit.
I can tell you in the 80s that you're 100%
Daryl,
right.
if you remember, this is you yesterday talking to Kevin Stefanski and asking about Andrew Berry.
Yeah, Kevin, I apologize for asking a question I normally ask Andrew, but you're here. So with the trade deadline that's coming up here, do you see the team focusing maybe on moves similar to the Greg Newsome, Tyson Campbell trade, where you're more so looking for getting players that can help you now as opposed to picks? And then also, too, what is your role in those conversations when it comes to, looking for help that you need with the roster?
Yeah, you'd have to ask Andrew. I'm just kidding. Yeah, listen, AB's doing his job. We talk every day about opportunities that may or may not come up. I really like the group we have, but I'm sure, I know we're working hard and looking at all those avenues, but I like the guys we got.
So
that pause yesterday,
well,
Jeff and I both were we held our breaths for a second. We're like,
here's
is that
the
how
thing.
this is going to answer? Because
you'd have to ask Andrew.
That's right.
Here's the thing. I was a millisecond because I was going to ask more directly earlier, and then I saw the expression on his face, and I was like, okay, he's not real thrilled where I'm going with this. So I pivoted to the how you handling all this losing you're doing, and then I circled back. And when he dropped the "you have to ask Andrew," I came within a millisecond of snapping back at him and saying, well, I have to ask you because Andrew's not being made available to us. I came within a millisecond of firing back, and then he said, in all seriousness, just kidding, and then he gave an answer to the question. He gave an answer, non-answer to the question.
He did
but
say,
at least we got a response. But
yeah.
I was that close, and I honestly, I think Kevin saw my expression on Zoom. I think he saw that I was getting ready to pounce, and then he diffused me by giving me an answer, non-answer.
We held our breath. I was in that moment before he said, "I'm just kidding." I'm telling you, we looked at each other. We're like, I can't believe he just did that after what Daryl just said. And then we thought you were coming right back and saying, where is the general manager and why? And I thought the real question would have been, and this is nothing against you or anybody, so please don't take it that way. Are you not tired of answering questions for the general manager?
Yeah.
That's in the back of my mind.
Here's the problem with that.
It's absolute garbage. They make him go out there and answer questions like this about trades and stuff like that. And someone's got to answer, because if they're not going to come out and do it, when you make a trade, you've got to step out and say, hey, we made our team better because of this. I'm not saying it's got to be negative all the time either. It's, you know what, we really felt like we made our team better. And that's all you have to say and move forward. But why are you throwing your head coach under the bus consistently by making him answer personnel questions when we all know the number one line for a head coach is, I can only coach the players I have?
Well, first of all, there's two things here. One, I go back to the Paul DePodesta baseball management philosophy, and that is, we don't have to explain ourselves. We do what we do, and we don't have to explain ourselves.
Which is weird, because he comes from the organization that's probably one of the most open and honest organizations in all of sports.
But you also have to understand he was with 12 other major league teams after being with the Cleveland Indians.
But when he was with us,
right?
I mean, you can rip the baseball team all you want. They're as transparent as anybody in town.
I would agree with that.
And anybody in the country. I've been around it. I was around it every day, and they're not scared to answer questions. at all about anything.
Except for when I asked Chris Antonetti if he's going to spend more money this offseason.
Well, we all know what the answer is there. So.
I got the ultimate. Well, our fans were great. They showed out and showed up this season, and we really appreciate that. Next question, please. But no, a couple weeks ago.
If you want to question me, if you want to question me on this, just Google Kaz Tadano. Keep going.
After the Joe Flacco trade, it was a week after it.
Right.
Kevin was asked if he and Barry were still aligned, if they were still on the same page. Are they
still thought partners?
I think that I think there might be some trouble in paradise. I do. I think there might be some trouble in paradise, and I think I said this with the afternoon show. The one thing...
Show your work.
Well, we saw this last year with the Ken Dorsey situation. Remember, Kevin was going to call plays, and things weren't going well with the offense, and then finally he washed his hands. He turned the play calling over to Ken Dorsey. I think that was Kevin's way of saying, you wanted this guy, he's all yours, now you're going to see what he can and can't do. I'm washing my hands of this. I am not wasting my time and energy with this. Okay? And I feel like right now, and this is my opinion, I feel like Kevin's at that point this year. This is what you gave me. Okay, I started the season with thinking Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett to be my quarterback, and I am forced to throw out there Dillon Gabriel. Regardless of whether Kevin wanted Dillon Gabriel or not in the draft is, for me, immaterial. Just because you want a player in the draft doesn't mean you think he's ready to play now, right? And you think he's going to give you a fighting chance, which, by the way, Dillon Gabriel does not give you a fighting chance to do anything but lose. So I think with Kevin right now, he's close to that. Well, this is what I have to work with. And so you do some things out of spite. You call certain plays to, hey, this is the wide receiver room you gave me. Can't count on any of them, including the guy that's frustrated. He's basically out there doing cardio every Sunday that you not only traded for, but you gave a contract extension to make him a core piece. He's a number 2 wide receiver at best, but you're making him a number 1 receiver here. That's what you gave me. What? Fine. Then this is what I'm going to call. And this is where Kevin has to be careful. And he may not even care at this point. Because if I was in his shoes, I might not care either. Because the Browns have a very nice severance package. Best in the NFL for former coaches. If you think the college plans are good, well, the Browns are pretty good themselves. But, spite and doing things just for the sake of doing things because that's the hand you're dealt usually gets you fired. People think that the record is what's going to get Kevin Stefanski fired. No, it's not. Because Jimmy Haslam said, leading into training camp, this was a 2 or 3 year process to find a quarterback.
Right.
He said that in training camp. Right? I'm not the least bit upset that they're 2-6. It's what I expected. How can I be angry they're 2-6 when I thought this is where they'd be anyway? I'm frustrated that how they got there. I'm frustrated at the product that they've put on the field. I'm frustrated at the quarterback who isn't qualified to be on the field is on the field. But yeah, I expect them to be 2-6, so I can't be angry at that. But what's going to get Kevin fired is not being 2-6.
All right, can we go back to this conversation that we had about Kevin Stefanski? And you were saying before we went to break, big cliffhanger. Dun, 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 how is Kevin out the door? What would be what needs to be aligned among the moons to say goodbye?
On alignment. If
him and Andrew are not on the same page.
If they're not on the same page, yeah. If there is a misalignment within the organization, that's, I think, will get Kevin fired more so than the record this season because the Haslams have dealt with this since buying the team. And when they blew everyone out, they blew out Pat Shurmur and Mike Holmgren. I'm not going to complain about blowing out Mike Holmgren. That was a smart move. That guy just showed up to show himself riding on his Harley.
Did you see
playing around in the golf cart with the drink with the umbrella in it and all that kind of stuff? And then as soon as he knew the media was leaving, he'd hop on the Harley and leave. Basically robbed the Lerner family of $40 million. Yeah, not going to complain about them blowing out Mike Holmgren there, but
he had a nice golf cart. I will say that
he did. But here's the thing with the Haslams that people don't understand: the number one thing that led to that very volatile period within the first couple of years of their ownership, or the first half of their ownership leading up to the Stefanski-Berry regime, which has gone 6 years now, has been the internal strife, the internal fighting, the finger pointing, the blaming, okay, trying to ingratiate yourself with ownership while throwing everyone else under the bus because it's not your fault. That's what's led to people getting fired, more so than the product on the field and the
internal drama. Is that where you're going with
this?
Okay.
And, because what you've not seen with Berry and Stefanski is we've not had the Sunday morning hit pieces, right? I mean, that became a tradition. Every pregame show turned into what did so-and-so write about what's going on in Cleveland, in their building and in their front office.
We should just call that Mike Lombardi time is really what we should call it.
Well, but this even was after Lombardi was gone.
Right.
This continued up until Berry and Stefanski got here, and then you had two gentlemen that were conducting themselves like grown adults. Now, there have been some times where Kevin Stefanski's had opportunities to defend Andrew Berry. He's not taken those opportunities. He's just given very vanilla answers, most notably after the Joe Flacco trade. But also, too, Kevin does not say anything negative about Andrew, when he's asked, publicly.
He doesn't say anything negative about anybody. As a player, I'd want to play for him because even if you had the worst game in the history of football, he would be like, we got to be better.
Well,
it'd be the worst thing he would ever have to say.
I asked him yesterday about Dylan Gabriel, just, what is going on there? I mean, this is a guy that y'all loved in the draft. You loved the supercomputer. You loved the arm, the accuracy. We've seen none of it. So what's going on with that? And, Kevin made it sound like that this guy is a top NFL prospect just on the life journey. So, I respect that about Kevin, that he does not air the dirty laundry. He gets frustrated when players mention something as innocent of, hey, Kevin got us pumped up this week because you ripped us a new one, or, Kevin had us give each other compliments in team meetings because he's preaching complimentary football this week. He gets upset when players reveal that stuff. He doesn't like that.
He goes nuts. He doesn't like it at all.
And those are innocent comments.
Yeah, I shouldn't say he goes nuts. He doesn't go nuts over anything. I've never really
You understand what I'm saying. It agitates him because, he doesn't want to make headlines himself. He doesn't want to be the headline. He doesn't want to be the story. And I like that. I respect that because there's a lot of guys that would be in his position all about making themselves the story and the headline.
Hugh Jackson's here, baby. Was there any question if he was there or not? He let you know as soon as you walked in the door, correct?
I'm trying to forget that those 2.5 years actually happened.
All right, so as you kind of dive into the whole, could there be a rift in the front office? I mean, that's kind of where we're kind of alluding to here. But it's you cause some of that when you make a personnel decision, and the person that makes the personnel decision, or is ultimately responsible for it, doesn't stand out there and let people know exactly what they think. And when you get into that position, now all of a sudden you're saying to yourself, what are they hiding, or what's going on? Or why do you continue to throw Kevin Stefanski out there to answer questions about moves that he didn't make? Afternoon Drive talked a little bit about that yesterday.
We are halfway into this season with the bye week. This is a logical place for the GM of the team to speak. And a spot where he historically speaks means one of two things. He's either on his way out or he is ducking from responsibility and trying to lay this all on Kevin. I think it's the second thing. And if it is a historically embarrassing thing to be allowed to happen. For him to let Kevin Stefanski go out there 4 times a week and deal with the same questions, which have to be asked by the way, it's not a media problem, is embarrassing. It's a dereliction of duty, and it's very much letting Kevin Stefanski twist out in the wind. That's crappy leadership on top of being bad at every other facet of your job.
Well, you put Stefanski in the firing squad, and he's done that so often throughout Stefanski's time here. That's what they do. I mean, Jimmy Haslam himself speaks, twice a season at most. He's not. He had thoughts over the past weekend, and maybe this is where Andrew Berry doesn't want to put his thoughts out there because it feels like everything that Jimmy Haslam said over this past weekend has already kind of shifted, and you could easily see how he was just speaking to speak, and so maybe Andrew doesn't want that, but the idea that Stefanski just has to always take the blame, if I was Stefanski, I'd be livid about that.
So here's the thing. The Browns have the opportunity to control the narrative of what's going on, and they're choosing not to. That's really what this comes down to when it's all said and done, because the guys are right. Every time Kevin goes out there to have to talk about a transaction, about personnel, it's another moment where we're like, where's the guy that made the decision? I don't understand what's going on here.
You have to ask Andrew.
And Kevin has very politely said that.
He's been a pro's pro.
He's very big on.
You'd have to ask Andrew.
And he's right, and he's absolutely within his rights to respond in that fashion, because Kevin didn't make the Joe Flacco trade. Kevin didn't trade for Tyson Campbell and give up Greg Newsome, which, by the way, I actually like that trade. I do. I thought that was a good. I thought that was a good move in fairness to Andrew. But what is the harm in coming out and explaining to your fans what's going on right now? Because here's the thing. This isn't about me. Andrew Berry owes me nothing. He doesn't owe me a second of his time, okay? Mm-hmm. This isn't about me. This is about having accountability for your fans, who, by the way, you're going to ask to pay thousands and in some cases tens of thousands of dollars to buy PSLs in your new barn dominium in Brook Park, okay? Where the existing building that's going to be turned into rubble here in a couple of years, and rightfully so, it's a dump. You've never hosted a playoff game in that place. It literally is, in the words of the great Mike Polk Jr., a factory of sadness. You have put hot garbage on the field now for 26, 27 years since this franchise has come back, with the occasional good season, but we're averaging one good season per 10 years here with this franchise. And every year you're doing things to quote unquote elevate the fan experience. In other words, if you're rich, we have more things you can spend money on. But you're not doing anything to improve the quality of the product on the field. And your fans deserve to know why. Your fans deserve to know when they're going to get a team that's going to be worth their time, their energy, and their passion. Because 1-31, the whole point of 1-31 and 4-44 was for this to be a perennial contender. And all you got out of all that grief and misery and pain was one playoff win. Okay? And that's not acceptable. I love using the Cowboys analogy from the 90s when Jerry Jones took that thing over. And Troy Aikman, I think they went 1-15 Troy Aikman's rookie season. It was just a complete and utter mess. 3-4 years later, Troy Aikman's a Super Bowl champion. That's what a teardown rebuild is supposed to be about. And we see this with other teams around the NFL. And I'm tired of hearing about the sustained success that you're building. It's time to show it.